K-Pop Unpopular Opinion. Hi folks, it's me, your favorite CAD, also known as Korean adoptee, and streamer Gil/Protector6. I'm here to bring you my new series along with CAD Music Video Reacts, and it's called K-Pop Unpopular Opinion. So I wonder what we're going to talk about. My thoughts that are probably very unpopular with the K-pop community. So this should be fun, right? For our first installment, we're going to be talking about how K-pop ballads aren't true Korean ballads. Pretty heavy, right? And this is stemmed from my live streams where I'm talking with my viewers, and we've talked about ballads and how they considered certain K-pop songs to be ballads, or these K-pop singers or idols basically as great ballad singers. And as someone who's listened to ballads for 13 years and in love with them, I was like, that's not my opinion. I think they can sometimes come up, there's some exceptions to the rule. Okay, so there's like Park Hyo-shin with the song Wildflower. That is like a true ballad. But a lot of the ballads I'm hearing nowadays aren't even true ballads. Even I'm a once, so I love twice. But when people say they come out with ballads, I'm like, no, they don't. I say those are more like R&B songs rather than true ballads. So I've sort of delved into two things. Singer-wise, why these aren't true ballads, and song-wise. Like, not super technical, but on the surface technical. So we're going to talk about why I don't think K-pop ballads are true Korean ballads from a singer point of view, like reasons to do with the singer. Then we're going to talk about why it's not true song-wise, like instrumental-wise. And then we're just going to talk a little about exceptions to the rule. So, singer-wise is that this is not a blanket statement. Some K-pop idols are really emotional with their singing, but more often than not, the way K-pop idols are trained is they're trained to sing very cleanly. And you can hear that in all their songs. It's very clean, very sharp. The thing is, for a ballad, is you need emotion. You need rawness to it. Raw emotion. So when I hear these K-pop ballads, I think to myself, it's too clean. There's not nearly enough emotion. And that's because they've been trained to be very clean and clear. Ballad singers need to be emotional. It can't be cookie cutter. And so some idol singers are just so entrenched in that sort of clean way of singing that when they do a ballad, it sounds off. It sounds too perfect, if that makes sense. Now, song-wise, I have a little more to talk about. So first, in some of these ballads, the instrumentals still tend to be very pop-ish. It's like too heavy. The beat, the instrumentals, like straight up, you sometimes have like electronica and electronic instruments being used, and you can't do that in a ballad. Not even just talk about the instrumentals, but they also tend to be too loud. It's usually just pacing and tempo is too high, too fast. Ballads tend to need to be slow. So when I listen to these ballads, what I see is they're not slow enough. Sometimes they're too loud, too heavy. Not nearly enough pianos. You know, they use electronic instruments, which is sort of a no-go with ballads. It takes away from the sort of emotional aspect. The thing about ballads is ballads are meant to be played live in real time as well. And so you want to hear a nice piano to go with it, or a nice acoustic guitar. So for instance, if you hear these like K-pop ballads, the instrumentals sometimes overpower the singer. But here's what a true ballad is supposed to have for instrumentals. It's supposed to be piano, maybe acoustic guitar. It's supposed to be soft. The point of the instrumentals is to support the singer in their singing. So when the singer isn't even singing, the instruments are just there to set the mood. The piano set the mood. It never overpowers. Even when it's all by itself, it's just trying to keep you in the mood the singer has already brought you to. It doesn't suddenly take center stage, even when there's no one else and nothing else preventing it from doing so. It never does. It just sets the mood and keeps the story going, giving the singer a chance to regroup and begin singing again. As I said, some of these K-pop ballads are way too fast in pace and tempo, and that's very much the truth. Ballads are supposed to be slow. It's supposed to be almost excruciatingly slow. So pay attention to some ballads, like listen to Baek Ji-young, Gia. Baek Ji-young sometimes does a little faster ones for OSTs. Listen to Wax, Han Dong-gun. They tend to be a lot slower in their tempo. And so what I end up finding is that these K-pop ballads, if they're close to ballads, they tend to be more R&B in nature. What I mean is that it's that they're not quite ballad territory yet, but they're close. So I compare it to more R&B style. One great group of that is called Sia. They were active back in like 2006 to like 2010. And they're one of those groups that weren't K-pop. They were like R&B, but they would straddle the line with ballads. For instance, their song Love's Greeting, 사랑의 인사, is a perfect example, where it's not quite ballad, but it has elements of ballads in it, so it's more of an R&B song. Now, as always, you're probably thinking, there are exceptions. I know this song, or that song that is by a K-pop idol, and it is a true ballad. I mean, there will always be exceptions, but they're not the norm. So I'm sure you can find a number of examples to tell me that these are K-pop ballads that are true ballads. I'm sure there are. As I said at the start, Wildflower by Park Hyo-shin is a perfect example of an exception to this rule. But the norm is that these K-pop ballads don't qualify as true Korean ballads. See, that's the point. That's where the unpopular opinion comes into play. But remember, these exceptions that you're bringing to me, most likely, are not the norm. They're the minority. And I'm sure a number of those examples you would send me are actually from original soundtracks. And the thing with OSTs is those soundtracks always have ballad-esque songs because they need it for the romantic moments and they need them for the more emotionally charged moments. So if you go check, is it from an OST? Is it in the style of a ballad because this is the emotional song? More likely than not. So I'm talking a lot more of the K-pop ballads that come on their album and their EPs on their B-side, you know? Those songs, which aren't true ballads, but they claim it's ballads and fans say they're ballads. But compared to like Staring Blankly, Mukurumi by Gia, and you tell me if those two are close to each other. Or Nautilus is my new favorite ballad singer and his song Sorry. Come back to me and tell me that sounds on the same level of those people. You know what I mean? They're not. And that's why I don't think K-pop ballads are true Korean ballads. So, food for thought. I know this is probably very unpopular sort of thinking, but this is my reasoning for it. And I hope this has stimulated you intellectually about Korean music. I'm not going to say I hope you enjoyed it because you probably didn't because you didn't like my thoughts, but I hope you thought about it and made you think. So thank you so much for watching. If it made you think, please like, maybe subscribe to hear my future topics, and share. Also, be sure to comment below with any unpopular opinions you want me to cover in the future. Some of them are going to be my opinions, but I'm well willing to look at some opinions other people have and delve into those as well. So thank you so much, and join me next time for K-Pop Unpopular Opinion. Be sure to check me out on my other socials such as Discord, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. Thanks. See you next time.